morning, and that is Apple getting slapped with a $14.5 billion tax bill by European Union antitrust regulators. They say the technology giant was getting illegal tax breaks from Ireland. Apple says it will appeal this decision. Joining us right now over the phone is Cato Institute senior fellow and tax policy analyst Dan Mitchell. Dan, thanks so much for weighing in this morning.
Glad to be on the show.
Look, if Ireland has a tax rate that is much lower than the U.S. and much lower than many other countries out there, is Apple doing anything wrong by operating there and getting better tax rates? What's your takeaway on this story?
Apple's not doing anything wrong. Ireland's not doing anything wrong. The European Commission is taking so-called state aid rules and ruling that if a country doesn't tax a company as much as the bureaucrats in Brussels want it to be taxed, that somehow that's equivalent to giving it a subsidy or a handout. So I think this is really unprecedented. It's an attack on American multinationals because they're the main target of this entire endeavor.
Yeah, because of the multinationals go to Ireland to operate because the tax situation is so much better there. So how's this going to play out? Will Apple be successful in its appeal?
Well, Ireland is the one I think that will have the primary role of appealing this decision. Is where do you appeal it? The European Commission sort of sets itself up to be the judge, jury, and executioner on these things. And as I said before, this very strange ideology, if you don't tax enough, that's equivalent to a subsidy, is really remarkable. And if this decision stands, you can be sure that other American companies, Amazon and McDonald's and others, are already under the gun. It's a tremendous money grab by the European Commission.
Well, Dan, that's a good point, and we know that there are so many companies, a lot of tech companies, a lot of pharma companies that are in Ireland right now. Does this European Commission ruling affect them, or are they starting to make preparations to deal with this? The road ahead looks like they might be facing the same fate here.
Well, all of them have to be prepared because there's unquestionably an anti-Ireland, anti-Irish tax system animus that is motivating the European Commission. And what's ironic about this, if countries like, say, France or Germany think that Apple is somehow diverting German source or French source income to Ireland, they already have plenty of power through their transfer pricing rules. Don't want to sound all boring and jargony, but there's already mechanisms in place that could handle this. This is an unprecedented, amazingly destructive thing for the European Commission to be doing in terms of international tax policy.
Do you think that this becomes an argument for lower taxes here in the U.S.? Does that make, does this help people understand the benefits of a lower corporate tax rate?
Well, there's no question Ireland has benefited immensely by having a competitive corporate tax system. And yes, the lesson is clear to the U.S. But it wouldn't matter if we brought our corporate tax rate down to zero, that this wouldn't stop the European Commission from going after U.S. multinationals. That this is an area where the Treasury Department has actually been on the right side, fighting on behalf of Apple and warning the Europeans, not to do this sort of, bold new effort, brave new world of global taxation from a bunch of bureaucrats in Brussels who, by the benefit from a preferential tax regime themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that this is okay with the U.S., right? I mean, Apple getting, lower taxes in Ireland, the U.S. is not getting upset about that. Meanwhile, they blocked the deal in pharmaceuticals between Pfizer and Allergan. They wouldn't allow that to go through. Is Apple getting special treatment here from the U.S.?
Well, there's no question that the Treasury Department has gone through a lot of effort, probably because Apple is a major U.S. company. And it's not as if the U.S. Treasury Department has pure motives. They're worried that if the Europeans grab a bunch more tax from Apple, that will ultimately reduce how much money the U.S. Treasury can get from Apple. So we're talking about a couple of jackals fighting over a carcass, and I'm on the side of the carcass, not the jackal.
Wow, I think you said it right. This is a real money grab, Dagan. I mean, they want the money.
Yeah, it's a socialist. It's a socialist society, and they are desperately in need of money to fund all the social welfare programs throughout Europe. And how do you do it? You go after the money kingpin, and that would be Apple.
Right, more than $200 billion overseas. Dan, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Dan Mitchell, by the way.